Good morning. So, multiple choice yesterday without calculator. Had to go. There are still a few people who haven't taken it, so I can't, go over it with you guys yet. And when we go over it, I can't let you keep it, can't let you take pictures of it, but we can talk about it. Yeah, it's a secure document and I really don't wanna lose access, so I keep those locked down. But seeing, like, hopefully you did the 2008 and saw, whoops, and that the actual test you did better than the practice, for those of you who had time to do the practice. And then going over it before you take the real exam, I think will help your score more, and every one or two more questions on the multiple choice that you can get right, the better off you are. Like reading through them, certain things, watch your negatives. Today's Wednesday, right? So, those of you who are not keeping tabs on the calendar, this Friday, you also have the free response 1 and 2. That is with calculator. Often, one of the questions is on one of the chapter 10 topics. Parametrics, polars, vectors is going to be one of them, probably. And the other one is like check the binder to see, hey, what are question 1 and 2 like usually? And sometimes the topics are rate in, rate out questions. Oh, there's this much rain coming down, but there's a leak in the tank, and the flow is changing positively or negatively. Is the water gaining in the tank or not? How quickly is the leak going? Things like that. We'll go over whatever we can between now and then. And homework-wise, you guys have the 2 who are AP questions on AP Classroom, and then the Delta Math sections. So can we try to warm up? Okay.
We're talking about something like that.
I like the Delta, yes. I rotated 4 pieces, so it's not 1 7-hour assignment. Everyone entered the test yesterday. You guys have an answer? Yes, no, yeah? What do you think? C? 1 and 2 only? Sorry. Oh. I say calculator is permitted because, first of all, this is question 90. So question 90 means it's, I think, the last question. on the calculator test. And heads up about that, the multiple choice with calculator is in 2 weeks. The Scantrons that I have do not have the correct numbers on them. So you're going to have to put question 76 into bubble number 1. I'm sorry, I'll try and figure something else out, but for now, that's what's going on. I just want to look at these numbers on the table to see, is it really alternating? Is it really decreasing? So -1 to the n divided by square root of n, I realize it's typing in an x, plus -1 to the n. Whatever. Let's look at the table. And it says it starts at 2, right? The series starts at 2. So 0.4, -1, 0.3, -0.8, 0.2. So does it alternate? Yes. Okay. Is the next term down the line getting smaller? No. Okay. Does the last term look like it's going to go to infinity, or sorry, to 0? I'm going to tell the table to jump by 1,000 so I can look at infinity quickly. Looks like it's going to go to 0 eventually. Is it still alternating? Oh, I can't tell because I'm always at the ones. Okay. So it is alternating. This looks true, but this was not. Fancy. So if you have time, type it in on the calculator just to double check, because they like to throw tricky things in, especially in the last question. This is testing your algebra skills. What's true? Any of them? Gabe, what do you have?
3 only.
3 only? How'd you get that?
I just sort of checked all of them.
How do you check them?
Well, for the first one, I plugged in 5.5 and saw that it was moving to the left, so that's
This
wrong.
is position. So it might be left of the origin, but I don't know that it's moving left. So to find how it's moving, what do I need to do? Derivative. Okay. first times the derivative of the second plus second times the derivative of the first multiplied by the power lower the power and then multiply by the derivative of the stuff inside. Okay. That's, what do I do with that? This one, not a calculated question, so.
I made like the number line, but you should probably do like critical points for the actual test, right?
Well, do I know what the critical points are yet? Like, when does this mess equal 0?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Eitan, you have an idea?
I was just gonna say, we already know one of them is t equals 2.
Do we?
If
I mean, they say stuff about it here, so they're hinting that t equals 2. But how do we know that?
Well, there's t minus 2 things. I don't know how, but basically, if you just plug it in 2, it's 0 plus, and then
Okay.
times 0.
How do we, Camden, what were you gonna suggest?
Can we just plug the numbers and see if it's true? Like, what they're saying?
People. Can't we just build the bridge and see if all the cars don't fall through it? Can't we do that? Yeah, okay, if this is multiple choice, that's the cut and run strategy of like, oh, I see those factors. Plugging in 2 is gonna be fine. But can we actually do the factoring? You're right, this is in common in both of them. I have 3 of them here, 2 of, by 2, I mean exponent wise. I have squared of them there. I'm gonna take them out. So there's 1 of them left, t minus 2 here. And then those guys went away. What's left here is 3t minus 18 factored. So yes, you're right. T equals 2 is one place where velocity is 0. And then 4t equals 20. T equals 5 is the other one. So plugging in the 2, how many numbers are you gonna guess to get that it changes at 5 also? So yeah, then check your number line. At 0, at 0, well, that's always positive, so 0, this is gonna be negative. At, I mean, hard to do the check. At 3, it's gonna be negative. I should have known that because this squared thing means it's not gonna change sign there. And then at 6, finally, it's gonna be positive. So the particle is moving right for t is greater than 5. Is that true? Yes. Is the particle at rest at time 2 and time 6? No. Does the particle change direction? No. So for it to change direction, velocity needs to change sign. Yeah? And we did a reminder of boilers the other day. Do we need another touch-up, or are you okay with the idea? Yeah, you want to say that? Okay. Well, try it first. All the whispering, what's going on? Hearing pieces. Preston, what's the setup?
X, Y, delta X, D bucket.
Fastest way to do this, which, if you look at stuff online, I don't see anyone else that shows it this way. This makes the most sense to me. It's clean, it's neat, it's organized. Even the messiest stuff I could understand this on the test. So if you look online for how to do this, they're gonna show it very, very differently. They're gonna find equations of lines, get answers, and maybe use that answer to make a new line, and that's what we're doing, but. Okay, anyway, given that we're starting at 1, 2, we wanna know the y value when x is 2. Does it tell me how many steps I need to take? Kinda. It looks like dx is a half. So I'm gonna have to do 2 steps. Dy dx, I don't have anything to plug in, but the slope, dy dx is the slope. The slope at 1 is 0.4. 1/2 times 0.4, 0.2. Nick, what do I do with this now?
You add the 0.2 to the original y, so you get 2.2 in y and 1.5.
Okay, so at x started at 1, it moved 1/2, so we get 1.5. Y started at 2, it moved 0.2, so we get 2.2. Okay. The x is a half again. Now I need the slope at 1.5, which is 0.6. And multiplying those together, I get 0.3. dx plus x. Okay, now I'm at x equals 2, and the y value is 2.5. It's always there. It's a BC only topic. It'll either be multiple choice or a small subsection of pre-response. Oh, elephant names. So, I hate this question. I should change it. This is an example of a width calculator question that is one of those randoms. So give it 10 minutes, work with somebody. If you guys have your binders, some of you have this question in it. I did not ask you to bring the binders, so. You guys will come back complaining on the day of the test. There's always something like, bananas are flying off the shelves at a rate of, your cake or your baked potato came out of the oven and it's this hot. You can't put the whipped cream on it or sour cream on it until it's this temperature or it's gonna curdle. So what's the temperature? People are like, I hate potatoes. There was a year with plankton. They're like, I don't care. I don't care about this stupid plankton. It's a baby's elephant at the zoo. We want to name the baby elephant. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys are going to come back complaining about. Had bananas, cake, potatoes, elephants, plankton.
You should not have said it.
No, you were doing it anyway by accident. At least maybe you'll do it. You'll stop doing it on purpose.
That's like your
Oh, one is before minus.
So should we just find?
For what part? Part A?
Science, not just door. What is approximate the rate?
Oh, yes.
Now the
traffic is all-
I always.
Well, it's 1/2. Okay.
So that is.
6.
From 2 to 5 is 3. Yeah, I think so, but the difference for me is that they're not
It's basically 1 to 8.
Take the data you got, they don't have to be equally spaced. And I think that's why I chose this one, though I hate it every year.
Plus 4 over 2.
Or you could do like y minus, like, it doesn't say that.
Oh, did you do it?
But you would do five.
It's so good. I switched to it anyway.
So it's like.
The first one for the range.
One. Oh, yeah. I just got here. You could just multiply it later.
It's the first
Oh,
one.
I'm talking about.
Oh, I switched for mine.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it starts at 0.
You put it in the
travel formula, then you'll know it's just one base.
No, I like
Oh,
And then that's just.
Well,
Oh, I mean, triangle is
yeah, I read.
Wait, so 1/2
Divided by.
times B1.
Yeah.
Wait, you took the times
Okay, so you're not divided by.
It's what I was saying.
Also, by side by two.
I was saying, we took it. Oh my God, this is like a
Same thing, you messed me up.
You messed me up.
You messed me up.
I believe it's
Bro,
You messed me up.
Yeah.
So that's why the second answer.
Can
Wait,
I
I
just
can't
factor out the
remember my
1/2
because I erased them.
multiply by a third? You said 54.
I think that's what
It's not true. 51.
So now I got it.
So I asked them,
68.
You done already? You don't appear to be looking at the question. You don't appear to be looking at the question. Any idea how to do part A?
Oh, 1/8 of it.
It's the one.
Yes, yes.
They want one. Is that?
everyone around me. Everyone. Like,
Oh, like if you flash it.
Right.
Yeah. When you talk about this bucket of water.
If EFT is not the rate, if that's just the value, potentially 20 divided by 8, and that's the average per hour.
No.
Because EFT is
I
not
got
the rate.
171 over
EFT is
2.
the hundreds of entries that are in the
That
box
happen.
at that point.
No,
So,
that are put in.
so
That have been put in the box.
No.
That's what we have in there, 2,300 entries in the box.
And see how many they did profit.
yeah, okay. So,
Divide that by 8, would that just be the average rate?
so you're doing part B or?
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
So,
Sorry.
me.
Yeah, well, part B says do trapezoid rule. So, no.
Something in every hour. Something in every
That works in my head, like I get what you mean, but it gets a different answer.
Yeah.
How many?
Okay, lots of conversation about this, so let's, part A, as Gabe was just saying, the EFT is just how many hundreds of entries were put in. It's not a rate, it's not per hour, it's how many were put in. Well, at the start of the day, people didn't have a chance to put in, I want the other thing. We didn't have a chance to put any in yet. So this part A, there's always one piece of the free response questions that, and usually it's part A, that says, what is this? How do I do this? Hundreds of entries per hour. So how do I approximate what's going on at time 6?
F of 7 minus F of 5 over 21 minus 13. No, over 7 minus 5.
So how many entries were put in at time 7 minus how many entries were put in at time 5 over 7 minus 5. So it's just asking you to do the slope. And that comes out to be 4. It did not ask for units. It's always a good idea to put them on, but don't get them wrong. All right?
When you say 400 entries per hour, or when you pay for using hundreds of entries per hour?
Good question. So, I don't know.
Okay.
This one is from 2010. The grading rubrics now are 6 7 pages long with all of those things. Because I'm a grader, but I've never gone to Kansas City. I've always graded from home. So I need those 6 pages to say, all right, getting the number is 4, but the unit is hundreds of entries per hour. So is it 400 or is it just 4? I would have to check the rubric.
Right, it's right though.
I would do what they did and say it's 400 entries per hour.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Part B, you will see some kind of, Riemann something. Right, left, and trapezoid. Very rarely do they do midpoint. So trapezoid rule, Nick noticed the DX is not uniform. It jumped 2, it jumped 3, then it jumped 2, and then it jumped 1. Trapezoid rule is add the bases, divide by 2, and then multiply by the dx. And for all of those Riemann sum things, they really want to see, like in the multiple page rubric that I get for these, they need to see the calculations that you're doing. You don't necessarily need to say E of 0 plus E of 2, but you need to have those Y values in there. You need to say, I knew to add these two, divide by 2. So on the rubrics that I see, there is 1 point for you to show that stream of numbers. And then 1 point to get the answer. And then part B of this question also asked for explain using correct units, explain the meaning of that. All right. So the meaning of that, Sydney, what did I thought I heard you say? What was?
I said that it represented the average rate of hundreds of entries per hour. But
Okay. Yeah. So it is the average, and it's so. When they ask, what does this mean in context of the question, they need a noun, and last year people said gallons. They did not get points for it because they needed to say gallons of gas. And every single one of those I flagged and said, seriously, like they said gas over here. No, in the thing where they had to say the thing, they said it was 4 gallons, not 4 gallons of gas. There was another year, they didn't say it was the rate of, or they didn't say that it was a rate and it is not. So this one, it's the average number of what? Hundreds of entries in the box. And then over the time period, you need to specify, is it the rate of change at 3 minutes? Is it over 5 days? Is it over these 8 hours? They want to know the specifics. They need a noun, a time, and the units. And they are that particular. Give your best shot. Part C. Okay, volunteers are starting to process things. So this has really nothing to do with the table they gave us above. Now you need your calculator. So they start at 8 o'clock and they go till midnight. And according to the model, how many have not yet been processed by midnight? So you need to know to take what you started with, 23, and as I already said, hundreds of things, but it's 23 minus the integral of processing. So typey on the calculator. Don't do it by hand because you don't have to. And we get that there's 700 entries left. So you would get 1 point if you just did the integration and forgot to take into account that, I would say initial value, but that you had this many things to process in the right place. Part D, according to the model from Part C, at what time were the entries being processed most quickly? How do I find when the processing is going fastest? What do I do?
You like do a derivative or something.
You like do a derivative or something. And they, as their justification, I've never seen them quibble with a table. They do a number line, they're like, oh, did they take into account the endpoints or not? This is one thing they don't argue about. So if you say, I'm testing the endpoints and the two critical points that I found when I did the derivative, there it goes.
Oh, we responded.
And you get a point just for considering finding the derivative possibly incorrectly but setting it to 0. You get a point for that. And that you identify the middle numbers. All right.